Hello, and welcome to the next episode of The Inner Estate with your host, Bridget Stewart. I am thrilled. My guest today is Mike Davis. He is a certified executive coach with the Coaching Nexus and a specialist in selling your real estate business. Mike, thank you so much for being a guest with us today.
Well, it's certainly my pleasure, Bridget. I'm happy to be here, and I'm always happy to talk about things that are exciting and things that help people move their business forward.
Me too. I mean, I could talk about it all day, and people have teased me about that. So, Mike, the topic today is so critical, especially in real estate. You and I are going to talk about this incredible program that you're offering, a service and a coaching that you're offering, where real estate agents can sell their business and they can actually have an exit strategy. It's as if you're putting up an exit ramp sign with your program ERQ, which is Exit Ready Quotient, correct?
Yeah, it's a score that we utilize to help people understand where they are in that process. And it's really one of the things that we find when we talk to agents about selling their business is that once they've gone through that process, they wish they had started 3 to 4 years earlier. They wish they had started when they were really active in the business, when they were still excited, when they were still very much moving the needle in their business, as opposed to when they started thinking about selling the business. And in order to do that, you have to start with where you are today and get a good handle on that and where you're going to go in the future. So as a business coach, I also do a lot of business coaching for businesses across the country. And we created a program for businesses to help founders figure out how to exit in a more profitable way that gave them more freedom and the most value for their buck. And we converted that and just modified it so it was very specific to the real estate space. And we call it the ERQ, or the Exit Ready Quotient. And it is built really around one ethos, if you will, which is a business that's built to sell is always a better business to own. And the reason that I say that is businesses that are built to sell are maximizing profitability. They are much easier to scale. They provide their owners with the greatest amount of freedom when it comes to what their involvement is in the business and their ability to do other things, spend more time personally with their family and friends, but also be able to look at ancillary opportunities, which is a big part of what we do, is talk about ancillary opportunities. And it really boils down to 6 pieces, which is the growth model, which we really dive into how your business converts leads into business. Then we go to the performance model, which is where we track how activities flow all the way through the system and come out the other side as revenue. We talk about the financial model, which is far too often overlooked. And our goal in the financial model is to be able to make decisions proactively based on the financial information that you should have every month, as opposed to being reactive in December or January or February of the next year when it's too late to do anything about it. Then we get into the people model, deep into org charts, dig deep into where you want to be with your org chart. Are the right people on the bus sitting in the right seats? Those types of things. The vision model is all about planning. It's about executing. It's about accountability. It's about understanding not where we are today, but where we need to go tomorrow and having a great plan for that. And then the leadership model, which is, we're really heavy on the leadership model because people need to understand a couple of things. They need to understand how they are impacting their business, but more importantly, they need to understand the points at which they become the bottleneck for their business. And it happens all the time. So that's and the lid, very often the lid as well. So that's where it all starts. And we have an online assessment for that. All you have to do is go to exitreadyagent.com and the assessment is there. It takes less than 5 minutes. And in less than 5 minutes, you're going to find out what your strengths are. You're going to learn some weaknesses, and you're going to put yourself in a position to be able to move your business forward in very rapid order. You get an instant score back and also a key to help you understand what it means. And then if you want to book a call and have a further discussion around that information and how it might impact you going forward, more than willing to sit down and have that conversation.
Well, this is remarkable. And it is something, as I mentioned at the top, that is so critical, particularly in our industry, which, I mean, you also do more with business. I'm pretty real estate specific. One thing I can tell you with real estate, and you know this, the average age of a realtor today is 58 female. We have one of the highest average ages of any industry in America.
Yes.
I'm assuming we all know how averages are calculated. That means there are agents that are still in their 70s and not as many, but even some in their young 80s that are still actively selling real estate.
Which is okay if that's what they
It
want to be
it's
doing,
okay if that's what they want. Agreed.
but not
You
so
know,
much if they're doing it because they have to.
bingo, bingo. If they are like an emeritus agent and they're a leader and the team is running whether they're present or not, and they can do what I like to call the fun things, which is different for everyone, but whatever it is that brings them the most joy.
Yes,
Maybe going out, with the grandchild of one of their former clients with one of their buyers. They can decide what that is. That's one story. Unfortunately, many of our colleagues in real estate are in the second option where they have to in order to survive, and they don't know how to get out. So it's a pressing issue. There's a rising silver tide, not just with boomers aging in place and housing inventory, but in
yes.
our industry of agents. And it sounds like your ERQ could be a first step to where someone who is wanting an exit ramp, they could take the ERQ and it would be putting their toes in the water to see what's possible for them.
100%. And a lot of it has to do with the simple fact, if we look at this just in its most basic form, real estate, I don't know of another industry or opportunity that exists where force, the barrier of entry is the lowest to have the opportunity to earn at the absolute highest level. Now, what
Yes.
that means is in a lot of cases, we have to get out of our own way and understand that we may not have the training or the background or the education to be able to move it to that next level. We're great at what we do. I mean, phenomenal at what we do, but the part of converting that into an actual business where we're doing all of the right things to create value and create something that can either be sold or passed down as a legacy to our family
Yes.
or whatever it looks like, whatever exit that we're looking for, that exit should be planned. It should not be dictated by fate or the market or anything else.
Circumstance.
It can
Yeah.
absolutely be planned. And the sooner that you start planning, the better, because if you build it correctly, then you don't have to fix it later. And that's the thing that is the hardest for people to grasp. So many times I hear, we want to sell next year. Well, if you want to sell next year, I promise you, we cannot get your database in the shape that it should be in.
Correct.
We cannot get your financials in the shape that they should be in. We cannot, like, all of the things that we have to do for you to maximize the return on a business. And I'm not talking about, and here is another confusing thing for people. You don't have to want to create a giant mega team in order to use an exit ready format,
That's right.
because not everyone wants that. But even if you're just an individual agent and maybe you have an assistant, maybe you have showing specialist, or you have a buyer agent, regardless, there is an opportunity for you to maximize your dollars on,
Yes.
and not only that, but plan what the exit looks like, as opposed to, look, the most tragic thing in the world for me is seeing an agent say, I'm going to retire, and they pull their last sign out of the yard and they're done, and they have
Yeah.
nothing to show for it other than
Right.
what it was that they accumulated. It makes no sense to me, because it doesn't have
Correct.
to be that way.
I agree. And it's really sad when that happens. And there are options. And that's why I'm excited about that. As we're talking about it, it reminds me of an analogy. It's as if you're going to sell a house that you've had in the family. Let's talk about agents that have been in the business more than 15 years. So
Right?
you've owned a house more than 15 years. If you didn't do maintenance every year and stay right on top of keeping the home fresh, beautiful, maintained, all the systems working. And then 15 years later, you say, Mike, I want to sell my house and I want to sell it tomorrow and I want to sell it for top dollar. Sorry, with the deferred maintenance, it's not going to happen.
We're so far gone that you can't.
Right. So you can get top dollar as long as you're then willing to bring in everyone, get the roof, do the HVAC, paint, remodel the kitchen and bathrooms, right? So to me, when you were talking about the state of people's business, it reminded me of a home. Now, we have other homeowners that they've owned the house 15 years. Every 3 years, they actually pay for a home inspection and fix whatever shows up. They have regular annual inspections on all systems in the home. They have, if you're in the part of the country with termites, termite contract, and they're just staying on top. And they're even updating their interior. So, if they were part of the gray mauve 80s, it's not still like that today. They have freshened the home and renovated. Then they invite you over to sell the house. They're like, wow, we could go on the market next week with some tweaks.
It's such a great analogy, Bridget, because every agent can absolutely relate to the seller when you go to their house for the listing appointment, and they're absolutely sure that this, mauve house from the 80s is phenomenal and they're going to get absolute top dollar out of it. And they're not grasping how far behind they are. Like every agent can understand that because everyone's seen it, done it. You get it. It's like that for me when I talk to agents who decide that they want to sell next year and they just don't understand why, even if it's a golden handoff situation where they're going to stay involved and it's going to be a referral situation, that's great too. But that requires maximizing too. This isn't just about building a giant team. It's about, regardless of your strategy to exit, or even if you want to pass it on to your heirs, even if you want to involve your kids in the business, wouldn't you want to give them an absolute killer product versus a product that they're going to have to completely revamp to just get up to today's standards? And that's
right.
All of it can be done if you start early and you're willing to listen. It's bothersome to me. The most expensive thing for an agent, honestly, is to not have a mentor or a guide or a coach.
Agreed.
Because it allows them to have someone else look at things from 30,000 feet when they're in the trenches and they can't look from 30,000 feet.
That's right.
And this is just a part of that process.
I agree. And I wanted to also make sure that you and I are clear. Using that house analogy, we can sell both. So even if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I am the first house with the deferred maintenance, it's okay. You're just going to have to do some intense work in a short time frame, and it's always going to take longer than the agent wants it to. But both can be sold. So when you think about that analogy, if you go to a home with an owner and that's hoarded, but they can't see it, and there's deferred maintenance, it doesn't mean you can't sell the house. You don't go like, oh, well, can't sell that and walk away, right? It still can be done. So I want to make sure anyone who's listening to this,
absolutely,
it doesn't matter where you're starting from. You can start from a complete disaster. You can start from, you've been in the business 26 years, your whole team left 2 months ago. You don't even know what you want to do. Your database is a mess. Great. Take the ERQ, line things up. We'll get into action right away.
Yes.
Safe to say?
It's that simple. And you don't have to start. It doesn't have to be this giant onerous thing where, oh my God, I can't, it's going to be so much I can't do it. No, it's the proverbial eating the elephant. We start one bite at a time.
That's right.
And we pick the highest value bites that we can take on. And we just start there and just start moving you toward the other thing that it does from a peace of mind standpoint, Bridget, is it moves people from, I wonder, and I don't know, and I'm going to stick my head in the sand because this is so big, I can't even get my head wrapped around it, to, no, this is where you are. This is where you want to be. This is what has to happen between now and then, or some version of this has to happen between now and whenever. And we help facilitate those things and move people into peace of mind and a much, much better situation. So many agents talk to us, and I know they talk to you as well, about the stress of not having any type of exit strategy and not
Right.
knowing what's going to happen. People inherently don't want to be doing this when they're 70 and when they're 80, and they don't
Right.
have
Right.
to, but
There's a
that
few high
choice.
eyes that I think still want to do it then.
And
Right.
again,
So
that's
they're like
great. Look,
highly social.
we
But yeah,
all know
most
them,
people
and
do
it's
not want to do that. Right.
right. But we know that agent, and that's their, I mean, that's their social time. That's
That's
their
right. Yeah. Yeah.
entire deal. And that's okay. Like, that's
That's
fine.
okay.
But
Right.
most don't. And so you don't have to, but you do have to start. And the time to start is now.
Is
It
now.
always is.
It always is. Yeah, it is. The time to start is now. Even if you're sitting there, let's say someone's listening to us, they're in their late 30s, early 40s. Start now, because there's certain practices you can put in place today that is going to increase the value of your business, so that when you do go to sell it, you'll be selling a higher valued asset with a longer track record and records to back it up. So just
100%.
regardless of how old you are, reach out now.
Yeah. None of that matters. What matters is that you're open to the idea of learning where you stand versus where you want to be, and having someone help you get there. And I think database is probably the one thing that we always seem to find ourselves having to triage and
Yes.
fix, because it's too many people are still trying to work out of their phone. And in order for your database is the most valuable thing that you have, period.
That's right.
Not to sell, I mean today, in order for you to maximize your profitability, your
100%, yes.
scalability, all the things.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing any work in your database, then start there. And we hear the same thing. I know you hear the same thing that I do, which is, I am too busy. I am so busy. And I am so busy is one of the things that is the biggest indicator of someone who really needs help. If you're really that
Yes.
busy that you don't have time to do anything, then you need somebody to guide you and look at this thing from 30,000 feet, because you're not.
That's right.
And if you're that busy, I promise you are costing yourself so much money.
Yeah.
You're leaving
Today and in the future.
today.
Yeah,
You're leaving
it's
so much on the table.
so much on the
If
table.
you're saying that. And
you know what's funny? I don't mean to cut you off, but it's not just the money. That has an erosion effect on your client's experience, how you make people feel. It can ultimately there's business you're losing, which is just straight up loss of market share, income, and track record. But people they can feel it when they feel as if I can't even say the word. If they feel like you're too B word for them, does that make someone feel valued or special or important? No. So that is you've really hit on something, and I'm going to tie it back to our analogy. That's what people say with the deferred maintenance. Well, I was going to have the HVAC serviced because I felt like it was falling off, but I was too busy and couldn't do it. And now 3 years later, and they have to replace the whole set. Right. So it just, you're not too busy.
Simply done the work and just done the work when I should have done the work, and it would be good for another 20 years. Right. And
the reality is they're not choosing to prioritize it.
Right.
No one is too busy. They are not choosing to prioritize that activity. They're not time blocking it. And then they're not making sure that if they erase, they replace. They are
100%.
continually pushing it to the back burner.
I'll give you another classic example of where, and I don't care whether you want to grow a giant business or whether you want to be an indie agent with an assistant, like however big you want it to scale, that's perfectly fine. But if you're so busy that you can't look at other opportunities, then you are absolutely leaving too much money on the table. And I'll give you an example. I put together this. If you look at the big red dot, that is the real estate transaction. That's you. That is you selling a home. And around that dot are all of the other ancillary people and processes and companies that are making money as a result of that one transaction. Why are you not scaling into some of that. You don't have to come up with how I'm going to make money off all 30 things, but I promise you, there are things there that you would be passionate about, that you would love to be involved in, that you could make money on. You could either be sharing advertising, you could have a fully compliant partnership agreement in a company that's RESPA compliant. You could have referral arrangements with different people that you could work with that would help generate more business for you. There's just so many ways that you can scale this one transaction, but people get so busy with this one transaction, they never take the time to look at all the massive amounts of money that they're leaving on the table. So this is another thing that we help them with through our program.
You know, Mike, it's funny that you mentioned that, because any agent, I'm going to say, who's been in the business more than 8 years, that has built a business that got off the ground, profitable, they're making money, they're thriving. Most of them, when you bring up those ancillary services, many of them are already doing some of it for free.
Yes.
Think about what you're doing. I have a perfect example. I have a client in Northern Virginia, and she found that she started staging homes, and it started out just tweaking what they had and then bringing in some accent pieces, organizing for the declutter. And then I was like, why don't you start a staging company? No, I'm too busy. I can't do it right. And then she got this one house that was a luxury listing, and she actually bought I talked to her. She had to reschedule her call. I'm like, what are you doing? Because she's really good about her schedule. She's like, I have to be at my listing for the delivery of furniture. I was like, okay, hold on. Why don't you start a staging company? I'm proud to say she has a phenomenal staging company now, has leveraged it out. It has not only not been a negative impact on her sales, it's gotten her more listings because it's part of her value proposition, right? But she has a leader of that company that is running it and selling to other agents the services. So they even have a for sale by owner special, and they've gotten several contracts off that, right? So think about what you're already doing that you enjoy, because she did it because she enjoyed, right? As you said, and see what's possible.
It's a mindset. It's getting out of our own way. And we all have a tendency to shoot ourselves in the foot. We all have a tendency to get in our own way. And overcoming that mindset and overcoming that tendency is a skill, and it requires practice and reps and learning and being willing to fall down. And if you're great at real estate, if you're great at going out and finding buyers, or you're great at going out and finding listings, then I promise you, you could be great at a lot of other things as well. And until and unless you're willing to open your mind up to the possibilities, you're small thinking yourself into a bucket that is going to be really hard to get out of later on.
Agreed.
You need to.
You're confining yourself.
Now. Absolutely. And it's not fair to you. It's not fair to your family. But the other thing that does is it keeps you in that mindset where when you go on vacation, you're on the phone half the time.
Yes.
And you're not present for your family. You're not present at your kids' events. If you show up for your kids' events at all, like that doesn't have to happen and should not happen, quite frankly.
Agreed.
Regardless of what scale you're operating.
So it's funny because with what you just mentioned there, and the discussion around the B word, going on vacation, not really getting the restorative benefit because you're working a little bit every day, but not much. All of that seeps in. And that leads me to bandwidth and mental energy. And I'm tying back to that original, like, who should take the ERQ? You mentioned it already. Most of our clients are saying, we wish we had started earlier.
3 to 4 years is the number.
Yeah. And you mentioned because at the time when they finally start, some of that energy and bandwidth has dissipated. If you listen to, say, Gary Keller, he talks about how willpower is not on demand and it's not never ending. Similar, this bandwidth to do the work, to use your phrase, to actually engage and do the work and get uncomfortable and learn something new and let go. Like all these things require mental bandwidth and energy.
Yep.
Finding talent, incredible amount of energy. So it just is so critical that you take this action while you still have the bandwidth to engage at a high level and do the work required. Would you agree?
I would completely agree. And if for no other reason, that bandwidth is also very much affected by stress, and it's affected by all of the things that are negative when it comes to mental health, are all affected by this. And knowing is so important. Knowing where you are today, making a decision where you want to go, and there's no wrong decision there. Whatever your decision is your decision. That's great.
That's
But
right.
not having a plan to get from A to B causes so much stress and causes so much, it is destructive to bandwidth. It just simply
Yeah,
is. And without that bandwidth, you're not going to be able to make any progress that is meaningful. And you're going to leave so much on the table. And at
that's
the
right.
end of it, if your desire is to work that hard, shouldn't you be able to maximize all of that hard work? Like, as an agent, you simply, like, there's no lazy agents that do well. There's just not. And so if you're going to do the work, should you not maximize the return on that work, whatever that looks like
Yes.
for you?
I'm going to say yes.
Yes. 100%. Yes.
I want to share too. So I have clients that faced a positive reason. So they, a little earlier than they anticipated, all of a sudden have 2 grandchildren. And the husband and wife, both working full time. They were of this mindset of, we want to keep working until we're maybe, 66, maybe even 70, because they believe, and it does, it keeps them young and engaged and all that. Oh, first grandkid came along and they were like, well, isn't that fun, right? And they started getting that taste of that. And the second one came pretty quickly. And now their bandwidth is impacted because guess what? They're thinking about the grandkids and they want to go and spend a month and they want to do, so much more. Now they are inspired to be successful at work, but they don't want to work as much. So again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Start now. Wherever you are today, take the ERQ, start today.
It's in, and to take it to one last place. And so I know of a scenario that's where an agent found out that he was very ill and
Hmm.
it was going to impact the business. And he and his wife were partners in the business. And she very quickly found out that she also had a condition that was going to impact her ability to participate in the business. And wouldn't it have been amazing had they scaled earlier, much
Yes.
earlier, so that their involvement in the business wasn't, it's like when I say, are we the bottleneck? We are the bottleneck 90% of the time. And it's
Yes.
because we think that it can't be done without us, that we can do it better than somebody else, that we're too busy to actually take the steps that are necessary to become something other than the bottleneck. And it just doesn't happen. And when you are the bottleneck, everyone around you is constrained in terms of what they can do for that business. They just are. And so the ERQ also helps you figure out whether or not you are the bottleneck, and you do not want to be the bottleneck in your business.
No, I do not. Well, this has been great. Do you have any final thoughts or considerations that you would like to share with our audience?
Nothing other than this is unquestionably, in my humble view, the single greatest opportunity in the United States for the average person to be able to be extremely successful, both financially and to feel great about themselves and to be able to provide for their family and to be able to, it's the single greatest opportunity that there is, other than hitting the lottery. It's kind of like hitting the lottery, but you have to work for it. And I
Yes.
just really, truly believe that there are agents everywhere who could become so much more, and they could have so much more. And most importantly, they could have so much more freedom, and they could be so much happier, and they could run these amazing businesses that have value that can be passed along or sold, or you take on a partner, or do a golden handoff and stay involved, but not as involved, whatever it looks
Right.
like. Just make a decision and do it. It's just that simple. Because you can stop and think about it all day long, and thinking about it is not going to move the needle 1 inch. You have to just take action and do it.
I have one last question for you.
Mhm.
Is there any that you think do it or doesn't need to worry about it or it wouldn't be beneficial?
Ben Kenny, I think he's got it figured out. Other than somebody that's operating at that level, I don't care. Like finding out where your gaps are, we should want, as a business owner, I want to know where my gaps are.
Correct.
Like,
And my blind spots. Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed by any of that. Like, tell me so that we can make the business better. So really, no, unless you are running a mega team and you know none of those people aren't being coached, by the way.
Correct.
They are.
They all have coaches. Yeah.
Every one of them have. Every major player in our world has a mentor, a coach, someone to guide them, someone to create accountability for them, someone to inspire them, like all the things, they all have it. So really, no, there's no one that this would not make better. You just have to be open to the idea that maybe I don't know everything there is to know.
That's right. I would say if I was answering that question, I would say if someone is purely a hobbyist, you know, I got my real estate license and if a deal falls in my lap, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll refer it. They don't need it.
No.
Or similar to the Ben Kenny example, if someone has been consistently wealth building and they're shifting their attention to, say, a 240-door real estate portfolio, and they also have a very successful financial wealth building program in place, and they're financially free, maybe not. Other than that,
they've already done it.
That's right.
If they're in that position, they've already done it. They've already done all the things, right? They just have because.
So I think we're saying pretty much if you're in real estate and you're serious about selling, you should do this and at least get that assessment.
100%.
Well, I'm just thrilled. Mike, you and I are colleagues now working at the Coaching Nexus, and this is something I am also very passionate about. So I love the approach that you're taking and that you have these tools and you're able to help so many agents with the ERQ. So
it's my honor to be on your podcast. You're a legend, and that's not overstating it. And I know how many people you've helped over the years, and I know what a difference you've made in a lot of people's lives. And that is a great thing. And it's an honor to be a colleague. It really is.
It really is. And I love what we're doing with Coaching Nexus. The freshness, the support, and the creativity that we're bringing to all of our clients is just really invigorating. I mean, it's so exciting.
And the non-monogamous approach to coaching.
Yes.
To having so much more available if it's needed, and being able to plug and place clients in the right bucket to fix whatever. It's astounding how quickly it's all coming together too.
It really is. And it's attracting amazing coaches and amazing clients. So,
they just keep upping the game on the coach front. It's insane the people that we get to work with on a daily basis.
It really is. Hey, if people wanted to reach out to you now in the comments or in the description, I'm going to have all of your contact information. I'm going to have a QR code and a link for the ERQ. If someone did want to reach out to you, what's your preferred platform?
Honestly, the best thing to do is just call, text, or email me. It's Mike at sellingpath.com is what I use. And also my number is 614-657-9721. Shoot me a text. I'm here.
Excellent.
And I'm always available.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I hope you'll be a guest again in the future. I so appreciate you sharing all of this insight and the tools with us today.
Thank you, Bridget. It's an honor to be here.
And I hope you'll join us again for another episode of The Inner Estate. Thank you so much. Have a great day.